And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Natalie Gaymon, intuitive, psychic, and evidential medium who saw past lives during her near-death experience, which we're going to learn about and more. Natalie, thank you for joining me and welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here and thank you for having me on your podcast.
Well, we are happy to have you, Natalie. And if you don't mind, let's just start on the day that you had the experience and go from there.
My experience was May 17th of 2020. I got out of my bed that morning. It was very early. I was still very tired. And I went to use the restroom. So as I went to use the restroom, I got a little dizzy, but I just brushed it off as maybe I just moving too fast, too early. I went and I used the bathroom, and then when I went and got up from using the bathroom, I remember going to reach for the doorknob, and that's the last thing I remember before my body hit the floor. The only thing was that I was out of my body before it hit the floor, so I didn't realize that I was out of my body initially. I didn't know that my body, I was out of it. I did see like a mass on the floor, like a body on the floor, but I didn't correlate it with being my body because I was me and it didn't register to me. So I turned from it. But when I went to turn from it, I immediately went through the wall. And even though it happened very fast, when I went through the wall, I was aware of myself as the wall. Every particle, everything the wall consists of, I was aware of myself as that wall, but it happened so fast. And so I just thought, it's early. I must just be really sleepy. Like, I'm somehow so sleepy that I'm pretty sure I walked through the door. Like, I just brushed it off. Didn't think anything about it until suddenly I was in the corner of my room. I was in the ceiling in the corner of my room. And that's when I started to realize something's wrong. And so the moment I had that thought of something's wrong, that word wrong, immediately I go from being on the ceiling to hoovering over my bed, and then I'm pulled down really fast. It feels like by like a magnet. So it's like I feel it like a force is pulling me, and I'm pulling through the bed, through the floor. And as I'm going through these things, I'm aware of myself as these things. I know I'm the mattress. I know I'm the bed, the floorboards, the ground, every grain in the ground. I was aware of myself as these things. And all I kept thinking as I was being pulled down was, oh, no, 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 this is the wrong way. No, 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 wrong way, wrong way, wrong way. I never had any like other thoughts other than this is the wrong way. No, no, no. So the more I had that thought, the faster it felt like I was being pulled. And then eventually I got pulled and I was still being pulled through the ground, through the earth. But then I had another thought of how is this possible? And that thought distracted me from the thought of the fear I was having as I was being pulled down. And so when I started having that thought of, wait a minute, I'm out of my body. How is this possible that I'm out of my body? And I'm experiencing this right now. And so as I was thinking that, I immediately was no longer being pulled. I was stopped in this space, this void. I was told it's called a void because it's void of anything. It's darkness, no light, no sound, no nothing. And I wasn't even afraid because I didn't sense a reason to be afraid, even though there was nothing there. It was pitch black, absolute nothingness. I wasn't afraid. Instead, I was continuing to have this thought of, how is this possible? How can I be existing outside of my body? I kept having this thought. And so I don't know exactly, I can't remember the part how I got from that void to where I went next. Later on, I had a vision of like 3 people coming to get me, but I don't have that memory during the actual experience. But where I wound up next I'm in a field. It's luscious, beautiful green grass, trees. And it's the first thing I noticed, or the first thing is a feeling. You feel instantly, instant. You can feel so much love radiating from everything. I mean, the grass loved me, the dirt, the sand, the trees. And it was more than just a knowing, because you get a knowing, but you feel it. And you don't only feel the love, you feel connected to that love in the grass, in the trees, into all that's in this, that's around, that is you. It feels like it's a part of you. And at this time, I'm thinking, where is everybody? Because I don't see anyone. I'm just feeling all this love from everything that is, as I'm also feeling connected to all that's around me. And I love it just as much as it loved me, including everything that was there. So I had this thought of, where is everyone? And instantly, as I have this thought of, where is everybody? That space that I was in, already feeling that love and connection to all that was around me, it expanded. And I felt so much like everyone is here. I heard a response. It came intuitive, like telepathically intuitive. It came and it was like, all is here. And it expanded. And when it expanded, I could feel other souls that I had known, that I didn't even realize I had known, but instantly I knew that I knew them from other lifetimes. And there was so many of them. They went off in a distance. It was just expanded beyond anything that my human mind can grasp. It was just an endless extension of this love and this magnitude of all is here. But so much more than all is here, I was connected. I could feel the connection to the all that is here. It felt like it was me as well as it. I don't know how to put it. It's so hard to explain. But okay, so I'm in this space, and once all is here and I'm feeling this, there's a guide. It's a male. And instantly I know this male. He's been my guide before, something I didn't know in my human life, but in this moment of this experience, I'm aware of this guide. I know this guide. And so he comes and he takes me and he shows me a lifetime. First lifetime is, I'm an older lady, Caucasian. I'm in the bathroom. I'm looking in the mirror. I have a heart attack. I die on my bathroom floor. And he is the one that comes and takes me. Okay, so then I'm shown a second lifetime. Second lifetime, I'm a Asian male, and I was having open heart surgery. I died on the table. I agreed to that. That's how I wanted to leave that incarnation, so I was taken. Third one was the one right before this lifetime. These are things, by the way, that as is being shown to me, it's also knowings are being like coming towards me, like these instant knowings in these moments. Any thought I had, there's instant knowing as a response. So the third one, right before this one, I died from poison, again, at home in my bathroom. So I'm with my guide, and not only is he showing me these things, but I'm re-experiencing them as myself. Like, I'm re-experiencing being in that body of that first woman, re-experiencing being in the body of the male, re-experiencing being in the body of the young woman, re-experiencing the death, going through the death of it all, and re-experiencing my guides each time coming to retrieve me. And so I'm not understanding, but I'm not speaking. I'm thinking these thoughts. And so, of course, every thought I'm thinking, there's an immediate response. So my first thought after being shown these 3 lifetimes are, why am I being shown this? I don't understand. And instantly, because there are no words, like we use words here on Earth, there aren't words spoken. All of the words comes through as like thoughts or telepathically, as they say. And there is no need for the use of particular words, because most of it is going to be, you feel it. You feel each meaning behind the word that would be used. But I asked, why are you showing me? I don't understand. Why are you showing me this? And he says, because in each lifetime, you were not loving. And in this lifetime, you are still not loving. And I was thinking, I don't understand. Like, I think I'm a loving person. So the first lifetime, I was very selfish. I had a family, but I did not care about my family. I thought about myself. That second lifetime, I was very power hungry. I didn't care about anybody, unloving. The third one, same situation. I was very selfish, did not care about the family that I had, only thought about myself. So in this lifetime, I thought I was loving. I said, well, how am I not loving? I don't do anything that's unloving for the most part. I try to be a nice person. But then he takes me through this lifetime and the times that I'm not loving or that I wasn't loving. And it wasn't even so much things that I did, it was the things I was thinking. So for example, I had a thought of I was having a conversation with the person I was having a conversation with the person, and the person in front of me, I was saying kind things, but at the time that I was saying kind things, I was thinking negative thoughts about them. Um, and so that in particular thought that I was having, for example, it was a female, and I was thinking, I was thinking how a female would think. I was like, oh, she really thinks she's like so much better than me, having all these negative thoughts. And so I was feeling every single negative thought that I was directing towards her, even though I wasn't speaking it with my mouth, every single negative thought that I was directing at her, I wound up feeling on myself. So that was surprising for me because I could feel that thought of negativity that I was sending out in my thoughts, even though I was smiling and, being polite in front of her face. And I felt that experience of what that feels like if something bad were to happen, because my thoughts were, I wish she would just disappear. So I felt that what it would be like if she had disappeared, who it would have affected. And so really, I learned in that moment, or I had a knowing that my thoughts affect me. So even if I'm being negative towards somebody in my thoughts, I'm really just bringing that upon myself because I experienced what that felt like, that thought I had towards them. I was the one receiving it in that moment, in that experience. And so that was a good knowing. That's something I brought back with me. I try to really, be mindful of my thoughts. The second thing was I go, okay, now that I understand, um, he says, now that you understand, he takes me to another scene. The next scene, I'm seeing a big screen. There's a big screen and there's 8 lights, 8 souls. And I'm watching. He says, watch. I said, okay. So I'm watching and we're looking at the screen, and on the screen is me in this current lifetime. In this lifetime, it's me. I'm on my bathroom floor and I'm crying. So it was a scene from a moment in my life. Me and my spouse were trying to have children at one point in time, and I couldn't. And then there was an infidelity, and he wound up getting another person pregnant. So that scene that we were watching was that scene of the day I found out. And so I was on the bathroom floor and I was crying, and I heard myself say, well, thank you. Thank you for this pain. One, because I thought I had brought it upon myself. I was like, I deserve this. I must have did something very bad. I was, due to my religious upbringing, I felt like I had this kind of conditioning that if you're not perfect, then bad things are going to happen to you. So yes, I'm on my bathroom floor and I'm watching, and I see myself crying. I'm saying, thank you. Oh, thank you for this pain. I deserve this pain. And so I'm still not understanding why am I being shown this. But he says, continue to watch. So I'm still watching. But I also, in the scene, saw myself say, do not ever let me forget this pain, that I may not experience it again. And so I go, well, yeah, I'm having thoughts, not saying it, just thoughts. And so I'm thinking, well, yeah, I don't want to forget it, but I forgave him. Like, I got past this. Why am I being shown this? He says, continue to watch. So I'm watching, and there's another guy that's in the room with us with the 8 souls. And it asks the question, who is going to be the one to teach her this lesson? And one of the souls stands up. And when that soul stands up, I instantly know that soul is the same soul that's my husband on earth in this lifetime. I instantly knew. It was instant knowing who that soul, even though he was there and I was watching and he was still alive, it was very much clear knowing that that soul is the husband that I'm married to at that time in this lifetime. And he stands up and he says, I will do this. I will teach her this lesson for love. And in that moment, not only did I have a clear knowing of how much that soul loved me, I could feel the immense amount of love that it took for him, for that soul, because it wasn't a him or her, it was just a soul. Like, I don't even know how to explain that part. But the instant, it was more like I also felt that love. So instantly, as I'm getting this knowing and this feeling to help bring all of it together, something's released off of me. I felt I didn't even know it. I didn't even know it was on me. I didn't even know I still carried it, but it was released. I immediately felt it. It was like, I just didn't know I had it still attached to me. So I had still been carrying that pain. The whole point was when I said to let me never forget this pain, I had signed myself up to continue to hold on to it. So my guide was showing me, and this is still clear knowing, like, things that I'm asking questions, but it's coming back to me. So this is my understanding of it as it's coming back to me. This is, okay, you said you forgave it and you got past it, but you haven't. You're still carrying this. And so in that moment, when it lifted off of me, it was like my whole soul was so light. I no longer felt like I was standing. I didn't felt like I was floating. It was like, oh, I'm floating. And so I says, okay. And I have this understanding. So after this, there is a moment of, I see what happens if I choose to stay. So I saw my funeral. I saw who was at my funeral. But the thing that I didn't know, or that I wasn't aware of that happens, is that you can hear their thoughts. So it's after the funeral, and I'm going, the family members, I have sisters, my mom, my spouse, my husband, my children, that was previous. And I'm going up to them, and I'm like, I can hear their thoughts. So with one in particular, my sister, my baby sister, I remember I went up to her and I could hear her thoughts. And I went up to each one at a time. And my guide, he's not stopping me or anything. I'm one at a time. I'm going up, I go up to my mother, I hear her thoughts, and she's saying things like, oh, that's such a sad funeral. I feel so bad for her husband. He doesn't know how to, cope without her. And I'm like, okay, I go to the next person. I'm going to my other sister. She's just blank. She's not really having too many thoughts. She's just kind of shocked still. But then I go to my baby sister. And the moment I stand in front of her, I hear her thought of, she's still here. So then I go, oh, can you hear me? Right? And so she's like, I know you're still here, sister. And I'm kind of fascinated in this moment. And my guy, he's not stopping. Nobody's stopping me. I'm just kind of in this moment. And I'm curious now because I'm like, I wonder if she can hear me. So I'm looking at her, I'm like, sister, can you hear me? And she's not saying anything with her mouth. All this is just her thinking this. And she just like, I know you're here. So I say, can you hear me? And she just goes, I know you're here. But then she takes a deep breath and she says, no, I'm just really sad. I must just be really sad. These are her thoughts. I must just be really sad. I must just be missing my baby still. So my sister, her son died 2 years ago due to cancer. He was 10 years old. So during this experience or whatever, I hear her saying, I must still be missing my son. I don't know if she's here. Like, so then that thought of her thinking I was there, which I was, kind of went away. But anyway, so he shows me this, and he shows me like my youngest, my oldest. I'm being shown what happened to, like, how their life would be if I choose to not return. Which my oldest doesn't do well. He goes down a whole completely different path because him and my spouse never got along. And so I says, okay, even with that, I don't necessarily want to come back. I get it. Like, I understood. I was being shown, how their lives would be. But I also knew that it was just temporary. So to me, I was like, I don't think I want to go. But then for my youngest son, I was told, okay, the youngest, I was shown that I had made there's not a contract, it wasn't like an agreement kind of sort of thing. Like I have to be there for him. So even if I choose to not return, I still have to be here for him in spirit form. Yeah, I still have to walk him through this lifetime. So then I says, okay. Like the moment I say, okay, wham, I'm slammed back into my body. I'm slammed back into my body so hard that my body, like and then I open my eyes, I'm on the floor, and the door stopper thing is in my face, like the door stopper. And the first thing I noticed is the pain. I wasn't in any pain before, but the first thing was that pain. I was in so much pain, and I tried to get up. It was so painful. So at this time, nobody's home. My husband, he was outside. I'm in the bathroom. So I'm crawling. I'm like trying to crawl, trying to get to him because I don't understand what's happening. And I make it to like the living room area, and then I pass out again. And my husband tells me, he said he saw my hand on the floor and he ran into the house. Okay, so I'm back unconscious. I don't know how I got to the hospital, if he took me or if an ambulance came and got me. I have no idea. I just know I woke up, I was in a hospital. It was during COVID. So I'm waking up to a doctor asking me, would it be okay for them to give me a blood transfusion? They need my permission because I guess I was against it or something previously. I'm not sure. I believe I was because I don't feel comfortable with other people's blood in me. So he was saying, hey, you need a blood transfusion. This is very important. And he was telling me you're bleeding internally. Your pH level is like a 2 something. And he was like, you need a blood transfusion. If you don't get this transfusion, you're going to die. And so I'm like, discombobulated. I'm like, where's my husband? But it's COVID. So he couldn't come in. So I'm in this hospital by myself and this doctor. And he's like, do you hear me? And I'm like, I'm listening. And he takes my hand and he holds it up and he squeezes my finger. And when he does, there's nothing. There's no color, no nothing. He was trying to prove to me, like, listen, you need blood. We need to give you some blood. And we don't know where the bleeding is coming from. And because it's COVID, I don't want to take you into surgery because, infection with your blood volume being so low, you might get an infection. And he was just saying, let's try this route. Let's give you a blood transfusion to try to get your levels up. And then we can go and take, if you can get you well enough, we can take a look inside and see what's causing this bleeding. So I'm like, okay, I'll get the transfusion. I get the first one. It's not enough. But by this time, I'm panicking again. I'm like, I don't want anymore. I don't want anymore. I don't want anymore. I'm in here by myself. Y'all won't let my husband come in. I don't want to do any more blood transfusion. But my levels at that time had only got up to like a 4. And he was telling me they needed to be a 7. I don't know how true it is, but he was saying it needs to be a 7. So in that time, I wound up going unconscious again. And I'm out of my body again. Only this time, I know I'm out of my body. And I'm watching as I'm laying on the bed, it looks like I'm asleep, and I'm watching. And in that moment of me watching, I feel something warm on my back. I go to turn to see where the warmth is coming from. And it's like the same exact life. Same exact life. There's me, same hospital, same gown, same everything. Only difference was the other one that I was looking at, she wasn't moving. She wasn't breathing. And there were way more doctors in that room than in the room that I was in. So I'm standing, it looks like in the middle, it looks like there's two, like, I guess it would be called parallels. So I'm standing, I'm looking, and I see the one where she looks like she's not breathing. And then there's me on the bed, and there's only one doctor, one nurse. And I'm just sitting there looking because I'm still a little confused. I had this experience. They took me and he showed me what would happen if I choose to stay. So I'm still trying to process what's going on. There's no guide with me this time. There's nobody giving me answers. I'm just looking like, what's going on? But also, this seems like it's happening really fast. It seems like it's so much happening, but it was just like in a few moments. So I'm looking and I see the other identical me, and I hear her flatline. I hear that one, the other me, her thing flatlines. And I immediately, as I hear the beep, I'm back into my body again. And I'm on the bed. And the doctor's in my face checking my checking my pupils and asking, hey, are you hear me? Can we, we need to give you another blood transfusion. And I was like, okay, yes. Because at this time I'm like, yes, I don't know what just happened, but yes. Okay. So it turned out I had a cyst that ruptured, and it caused internal bleeding. When that internal bleeding happened, all my organs swelled, and it caused everything to restrict, and that's why I passed out. So all of my organs pretty much absorbed the blood, and that's how I wound up dying or whatever. But I had the second blood transfusion. I did have to go into the surgery or whatever. They removed. I had a surgery for removal. I don't have certain things anymore, but I got home. And at this point, I'm questioning a lot of things because nobody never told me about past lives. Nobody never told me like how that you could exist outside of your body. And so I was very confused. And I was afraid to talk to people because I thought, okay, if I say something, they're going to lock me in a crazy house. They're going to say I'm crazy. And so I'm not going to say anything. Also, at that time of my experience, I was a substance abuser. Okay. I was not, I chose to use for fun. It wasn't like I felt the need to use. I was using for fun. I was a substance abuser. So one of the things I did after my experience was I wanted to see if I still would use for fun. I was like, I'm gonna see what'll happen if I try to use again. Like, okay, because I know what happened to me, but I don't know how to explain this to anybody. And I began to feel trapped, and I felt like I was confined because there's nobody to talk to. It makes you feel very like you're in solitude. So I went to use again. Only this time, when I went to use, it disgusted me. I couldn't even, no joy, no pleasure, no nothing. I didn't get anything at all. It was it repulsed me, actually. It made me not even want to do. I was just like, this is stupid. Like total different mindset. So I never used since then. Okay, so 2 weeks later, I am sitting in my bed, and I was diagnosed with hypertension when I was like 15. Prime athlete, healthy, but hypertensive. Okay. So I'm sitting in my bed and I have an incident, and it feels like something slams into my chest really hard, and it feels like my heart got squeezed. And so I'm grabbing my chest and I'm having a hard time breathing. And I also at this time am knowing like, okay, this might be it. I guess this is a heart attack. I guess I'm going to die. They showed me my heart, in the other lifetimes, and I guess it followed me into this one. So I'm just kind of trying to put two and two together, thinking, oh, it must be related to my past life because my heart condition in those lives must have just came into this life. So I'm like, oh, okay, I guess this is how I'm going to go out this time. I'm not even afraid this time because, hey, last time it wasn't that bad. So I'm sitting there and I'm grabbing my chest and I'm like, oh goodness. But then I start questioning a lot of things still. I'm questioning Jesus. Is he real? Does Jesus ever exist? I'm questioning a lot of things. And I'm questioning, but I'm also on the phone with my cardiologist. I'm calling my cardiologist. I go to my cardiologist, they do a stress test. The very next day, she calls me, says, hey, we have to do a second one. So on this day when she calls me for the second stress test, my heart is still, I'm still feeling the pain from it just feels now like a spasm, like a muscle, like a spasm maybe, but it's still very much present. It has not gone away. The only thing that went away was the pressure that was surrounding my whole chest. So I still feel it in my heart. I still feel that squeeze in the heart. And so I'm really questioning, does Jesus exist? Because Jesus wasn't my guide during my experience. So I was a little confused and I was questioning really, really, really hard. Does Jesus Christ exist? Does he really exist? You know, the religion that I was taught, my experience, none of this stuff is what I thought it was. And where is Jesus? So I was really pondering as I'm thinking, it's okay if it's okay if I go, but does Jesus Christ really exist? I really wanted to know really hard within all of my heart of hearts. And I'm sitting here on my bed contemplating really hard. And I'm so focused on this thought of, does Jesus Christ really exist, that I hadn't even noticed that my space changed, that my room changed. And I was no longer in my room. But I noticed I wasn't, because I immediately felt what I felt during my experience, that overwhelming love, that connection to all this love and everything that is around me. And in that space, I wasn't thinking, oh, I've passed, died again. I wasn't thinking that. I didn't have time to, because immediately a being is there, and immediately I hear, I exist. And I knew instantly the moment it entered into that space, it was Jesus Christ. He didn't say, my name is Jesus Christ. I just knew. It was like instant knowing. And all he said was, I exist. And then he took his hand and went in, like, it looks like the middle. It was so much light emanating. I don't know exactly where he went in. I just saw it go like this inside. And then he went and he placed inside of in my heart space. And when he placed it inside of my heart space, immediately my whole body felt like it was vibrating. And that pain that was there was immediately gone. And I could feel, when he did that, I also got an understanding of, I exist as you exist, as all exist. Like, oh, it's so hard to put into words. It was so hard, but it was so much more than just knowing. It was like as if it was my DNA, as if it was everything that makes up the human body. And Jesus Christ exists. That's all he said was, I exist. He placed it inside my heart center, and then it was gone. And I'm back in my room. And I'm feeling great. I'm like, there's no more pain. And if I'm like, okay, Jesus Christ exists. He came in, that's all he said was those two words, touched into my heart, and then it was gone. So the next day, I go for my cardiologist appointment, and they have the second stress test, which is where they inject the dye. The first one was the treadmill. The second one is where they do the dye to look at the inside chambers of your heart. This test comes back clear, clear across the board, A's across the board. Immediately, my doctor was wondering what happened. Not only was not hyper, like my pressure, my numbers was normal. That's never happened in 16 years. My numbers were normal. I didn't even have the abnormality. I have abnormal heartbeat, and I have extra, a murmur, and I had an extra heartbeat. Those were gone. They redid all of the tests. They all were gone. So my doctor was trying to ask, what happened between 2 days ago and today. But of course, I'm not going to tell her. I'm not going to tell her what actually happened. I just said, I just said, I don't know. I guess it's a miracle. I don't know. That's what I told her. I don't know. But that from then on, I don't have hypertension. It's gone. It hasn't come back. That's very fortunate of me, I guess, for me. But yeah, that's my experience. I learned so much through all of that. One, that Jesus Christ exists, because I really was questioning it. I was questioning it with all my soul. I really wanted to know. And I had read some material called Caesar's Messiah that had me doubting whether he existed. It really had me thinking, oh, they got some valid points that Jesus Christ may have been an invention of the Roman Catholic Church. And so I guess that's why I was really contemplating and really focused so hard on that one particular thought. All my awareness was on that one question. And so I don't know if that's what brought Jesus into my space. I don't know. I have no idea. I feel like I'm just a regular person, like anybody else out here on planet Earth. I have no idea why Jesus Christ would come and say I exist and then take and perform a healing on me. I have no idea still to this day. I don't even question it anymore because it'll come to me when it comes, I guess, when it's time for me to learn. But yeah, that has been my experience.
Natalie, thank you for sharing your experience with us. Since your NDE, have you become more loving?
Oh, yes. I would say yes. I try to, every time I see things or hear things, I always, and even if it's something negative, initially, if I hear myself or I'm thinking something initially negative, I'll switch it and say, well, how can I see this or how can I think this in a more loving way? How can I view it at an angle that comes from love? How can I hear this as words of love? Or how can I say this as words that are loving? Or how can I respond in a loving way? How can I hear what they're saying and receive it in a way that is love?
After you were healed, did you change in any way religiously?
Yes, I am not religious at all. Mainly because I did not experience any religion. When I was having my experience, I did not see any religious anything even relating to religion. Um, and yes, even though Jesus Christ came and he said, I exist, I also had a clear knowing, understanding, whatever you want to call it, that it was not a I exist so that you can worship me and praise me. It was I exist as love, as you exist as love. Like it wasn't nothing dealing with religion at all. I didn't sense that at all. It was a simple, clear, I exist as love, just as you exist as love. We all exist as love. Everything is love. So yeah, I'm no longer a religious person.
As a result of your NDE, did you get psychic abilities which you have or use now?
Okay, yes. So the incident that I was saying gave me almost what I thought was a heart attack. It was because I was sitting on my bed and a spirit person formed in my bathroom and immediately said, oh, thank God someone can see me. And he came at me and that it scared me so bad. If like my whole system took a shock and it felt like somebody punched me in my chest. So yes, um, ever since then, I have been able to see and hear. I've always been able to see. When I was a child, I suffered from thornophobia. That's that intense fear of death. The anxiety attacks were bad. Nobody knew what to do. And I didn't tell people that I could see spirits. I could not hear, but I could see. I didn't tell anybody. I just thought it meant that I was dying. So I always had a fear of death because I thought, well, if nobody can see these people that's not here no more, they must be coming for me. And so I must be dying. And I had it all through it just was so bad. But yes, um, ever since the NDE though, not only can I see, but I can hear and I feel, I can sense. It's more now. The gifts are more now.
When you say that you're an evidential medium, does that mean that the beings can speak through you?
It just means to me that like I can tell you what a person is wearing, what they look like, what they sound like, the words that they are choosing to use. There are times when there is what I consider to be channeled information that comes through, wisdom that I know is not me. and I instantly forget it. The moment I'm saying it, I instantly forget after it's said. So to answer that, I would say yes. I guess that could be a way. It would be considered evidential mediumship, as they could speak through me. I've never had anybody speak through me, a spirit person itself. All of my channel stuff it seems like it comes from not outer space, but higher up than just the spirit people that come.
What I find fascinating is your transition in the very beginning. It was instantaneous, I guess, and you didn't even realize that you had left your body.
I didn't. I did not know that I was out of my body. I didn't feel my body hit the floor. I was out of it. I must have came out before it even hit the floor, because I didn't even feel myself hit the floor. I must have left before then. And the only reason I was so confused, I believe, is because I was still me. Like, I still thought the way I think. They call it personality. I still had my personality. Because I remember saying it. I remember, what is going on? Like, the way that I think here, I was still thinking during that experience. I was still me. So I really had no idea that I was out of my body. I was just me. I still have my same personality, which is, odd. I really believe that because how I grew up and stuff, and the stuff that I was taught, that when you die, you either become like this really spiritual being, the spiritual person or something, or either that or you'll go to the other place. And that's not good. Hell's open all day and heaven's closed until Judgment Day. So I don't know. I was still me. So I didn't, nothing, there was no alarms going off saying, hey, you're out of your body. Until I started floating. And then I was like, well, that's not normal. Something's wrong. And even when I was being pulled down, I never thought hell. I never thought, oh no, I'm going to hell. I just kept thinking, no, this is the wrong way. I don't want to go this way. This ain't the way I want to be going. But yeah, I never had the actual thought of hell itself. So that's another reason I'm no longer religious. I was thinking, or I thought, if hell existed, the life that I was living, that's probably where I was going to go. And so even though I was being pulled down, I never actually thought hell. I just kept thinking, no, this is not the way I want to go. This is not the way I want to go. And I didn't experience a hell. So to me, it doesn't exist. I'll be like, I thought you immediately either be in hell or you somewhere in paradise waiting for Judgment Day. And I didn't go to either one. So it changed the way I see things.
Do you think this NDE was purely by accident, or you made some sort of agreement prior to birth like you did when you died from a heart attack?
I don't believe that it was an accident. I believe my NDE was specifically on purpose for me, so that I would make the decision, so that I can go through the transition that I needed to go through to become the person that I am today.
Do you feel that you have a purpose? And if so, what is it?
I feel that everybody has a purpose. Everything has a purpose. Even the grain of sand has a purpose, even though people find it insignificant, dirt, grass, everything has a purpose. I believe my purpose is the same as everybody else's, as far as being love, expressing love, knowing the importance of love, learning is mainly a big purpose for me. I know there was a lot, especially of how to be loving. That was one of my main things that they were letting me know clearly. Listen, you're not a very loving person. You need to be more loving. So yes, everything has, I believe I have a purpose. It is to be loving, to share loving to the world, to express it in a way that allows others to receive it, but also so that they're able to be loving in return to those that they come across.
Have you ever thought of practical exercises for people to do to become more loving?
Breathing, breath work, that's very important, breath work. And also think before you speak. I know that's hard to do sometimes, especially if somebody's making you angry or they're pushing your buttons or fueling the fire. However, if you take a moment to breathe, in that moment that you inhale, before you exhale, take that second to just hesitate. That's all it takes, is just a second. Just hesitate before you respond and think about it first. Think about, is this love? Is the way I'm about to respond, is this a loving way that I'm about to respond to you? And then if it's not, how is that going to affect me? How is that affecting me in return? Because remember, one of the things that I learned was every negative thing that I was putting out, that I was directing towards someone else, I only just re-experienced it upon myself. So one good thing to do would be to breathe. Breathe before you speak. Think, breathe, and think about what you're about to say before you say it, and think about what your words are going to be when you say them, what they'll mean to that person, what they'll mean to you, and why you're saying them. Are you saying this because you're angry? Why are you angry? What is it that they're saying to you that's making you so angry? You know, like, just think, breathe. My advice would be to breathe. If you take a second to breathe, you'll be fine. Just breathe and think of love first before you respond.
Who do you think your guide is?
My guide, I've known for many lifetimes. He was not Jesus. My guide was a guide that was part of before my soul group came along. Um, he originated. I don't know I don't know, but I know my guide wasn't. I thought my guide would be Jesus. That's why I was questioning where he was. I said, where is, is Jesus Christ exist? Because my guide was not Jesus. And when the Jesus that appeared to me, he was emanating so much light that I couldn't really see like features because there was so much brightness. It looked like a light wearing robes. It was a light wearing a robe with a rope belt, So it looked. I don't know if people can picture that, but that's what it looked like. It looked like a light wearing robes, but I instantly knew there was no. I didn't even have to ask. The moment I was in that space, it was instant knowing. But my God, yeah, I've known him. He's been with me for quite a lot of lifetimes. I didn't even think to ask that question. The questions that you think you would think to ask, like a lot of people say, oh, when I die, I'm going to ask God this. Those questions did not come into my mind at the time of the experience. At the time of the experience, the only questions that I could think of were the ones that were happening at that time of the experience. Like, well, why are you showing me this? It was stuff like that. It was never the things that I think of here on Earth. So I don't know why it happened like that, but yeah.
Well, it makes sense to me because you didn't sit down and plan this out. Well,
Right.
at least not during this conscious life, maybe before.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because I'm like, I never thought about, during the time that those questions that I had never came to mind.
Do you think that your guide is some sort of non-human being, like an angel or something completely different?
Right. I don't think my guide has a human form at all. It was translucent to me. He was like, I don't even know how to describe it because there's nothing I ever seen on Earth, but translucent, like a filmy. I don't even know how to describe it. It's nothing here that I could say my God looked like. But it wasn't human.
Do you feel like it was a male?
I feel, yes, masculine energy. Like, maybe that's because that's how I was most comfortable receiving him as the male energy. That was because that was kind of something that was clear to me too. It was like, that's how I'm most comfortable around that, my guide, he as the male character, as the masculine energy. But yeah, he wasn't actually a male. That's just, to me, I felt more masculine energy. So it was like, oh, okay, I'm identifying him as a male, but it's not a he or a she. It's a guy. He was very translucent, and I identified him as male. As I'm telling the story, but he was very not human. Mm-mm.
You didn't get his name, did you?
I don't remember his name. I have it, and it's not even a common name. It's not a name that you would recognize if it was spoken. So I hear it like in my head, but I can't. My mouth won't, and I don't know why that is. But I can't speak it. I got a name, like I have it still in my brain, but it won't speak. I can't get it to come out. I don't know why. It's the weirdest thing. But I know, like, I can call my guide. Like, I can. There's like what I feel like comes from my heart center, and if I like go inside and I'll feel like it'll feel like there's like a connection somehow from my heart center that goes up to my brain. I don't know how to explain that either, but it's a clear, distinct something that I am aware of. And so if I call, it'll be the name, like I'll think of it and it'll instantly connect. It's hard to explain.
When you do,
Trying.
when you do connect with them, do you hear him or do you just kind of know his thoughts?
Right. So the connect is more like I listen. That's another piece of advice for the audience. Listen, learn to listen. Silence your mind, silence your ego, and just listen. You'll notice between your thoughts and what's coming in from your guidance, your divine guidance. You'll be able to tell the difference if you just learn to listen. Silence your mind, silence your ego. So for me, I can tell the difference. I can hear, and it's not so much specific I'm hearing, it's the feelings, because everything is feeling. Like, words don't do justice. Words are just words. They have, like, they carry energy and stuff, but feeling something is so much more when you feel something. Like, you can think to yourself, oh, I know what love is, but until you feel love, you won't have a clear understanding of it. You'll just have the knowledge of, okay, that's what love looks like from what I'm being taught. But until you experience it, you won't have a clear knowing. So that's what it's like for me. It's like I feel when he's speaking, when I'm getting this divine, like I feel it, but also at the time as I'm feeling it, it's like it's being translated at the same time, so that I'm getting an understanding of what this feeling is carrying, the words that it's carrying. It's like to my brain, so I can know how to translate it into words. But it's mostly feeling.
How are you inspired by your near-death experience?
Oh, I try to find inspiration in everything. It doesn't matter. Somebody could just look at me and I'll try to find inspiration in their look. Everything inspires me. Mostly I'm driven by people that can't seem to realize their own divinity. People that can't seem to realize that they can change the situation they're in. They can shift that negative space that they've, somehow managed to be in and turn it into something more positive. They can, they have that ability. So I'm very drawn to, people who feel like, oh, well, I'm in a situation now and I don't know how to get out of it. I've been stuck here for so and so, or I'm trying and it's not working. I'm very drawn to that, because then I want to say to them, why do you think it's not working? Like, what are you doing, or what do you consider yourself that you're trying and it's not working? Because first you have to stop telling yourself that it's not working. If all you ever think is it's not working, and that's all you ever accomplished, is that it's not going to work. So you have to change your mindset and also realize that the power is within you. Any change, anything you want. If you want a bigger house, it doesn't matter. Material, non-material, they don't care. It doesn't matter. Anything you want, you can achieve. You have the ability within yourself to bring it forward into this lifetime. They call it manifesting. Call it whatever you want. You have the ability. It's within you. Nobody else can do it for you. So I'm very drawn to that. I'm very drawn to those type of situations. I notice a lot of people, they always tell me I'm a good listener because I'm very quiet. I listen. I listen and I try to give the best advice. Not always what people want to hear, but it'll be is best the advice that I can give in the most loving way that I know how to give it.
Well, while we're speaking about advice, if you had a friend who is grieving over the loss of a loved one, what type of advice would you give?
I would say to them, what they believe to be a loss is only temporary, because their loved one is not lost. Their loved one is more alive now than they were when they were in the body. They can hear your thoughts every time you miss them. They can feel every time you miss them. So when you think of them, don't be sad. They're not sad. They're free. Don't be sad. Know they love you. They can feel the love that you have for them. And when you think of them, think of the happy times. Think of the good times. Remember, make the memory of them a positive one, so that when they come into your space, because they can hear your thoughts, they're feeling that positive energy and not that the energy that's a little bit more denser. That would be my advice. Don't be sad. I know that's a hard thing, but if you think of it in a way of all is love, you're connected. They're not gone for real. You'll be fine.
You just mentioned that you're more alive on the other side. Would you say that the other side is also more real than here?
Oh yes. The experience there is so real that this feels like the dream to me. This feels like this doesn't feel the real. It's so more real there because there's so much that you're in tune to, so much. There's no limitations. There is no you running out of breath because you're tired or you can't do something. There's none of that. And also the negativity, the thoughts of, oh, I'm not good enough, or any of the negative thoughts that people sometimes have, that's not there. There's no need for it. That was another thing that was during my experience. Originally, when I was in that grass, I would have thought fear, like, okay, I'm here, it's a wonderful place, but why is nobody here? I don't want to be by myself. A lot of people don't like to be alone. But I didn't have that. It wasn't even allowed. It was like it was not blocked, but there was so much love and knowing and feeling that connection that there was no need for it. It just wasn't even necessary. Like here, people feel like, okay, there's a necessary evil. Like if somebody's doing something harmful and you have to do something harmful in return, you're defending yourself, there's like a necessary evil. But there's no necessary evil. It's not necessary. You're connected to everything and everything loves you just as it's the same. It's so hard. It's not really, even the words I'm using today in this podcast are not sufficient. They don't even come close. I'm trying really hard like to make it make sense and to give it words that can describe, but there really is no like human words to give it exactly what it is. Because it's not even so much words that are used over there. It's feeling, it's knowing, it's who you are. It's you as these things. And so it's so hard to put that into words. And that's been my biggest challenge, trying to explain impossible to, how do you explain the unexplainable? It's very hard.
Well,
they are more free. To answer your question, that is yes. I do feel like that's more real. This is the dream. This is more like I feel like this is a simulation. We're just here going through going through
when you say simulation, like the Matrix movie?
Right. Like I feel yes. Yes. I feel like this is a simulation. This is not what we believe to be real. It's like we're in a dream. It's like you're dreaming, but you don't know you're in a dream. You haven't woken up yet.
Well, after watching this podcast, people may want to reach out to you and ask you questions. Are you open to that?
Oh, yes. I'd be open to that.
What's the best way to contact you?
Facebook is a good option. Also, it could be on here through your channel on the comments. That's one way. But yes, Facebook is like the number one way that people can reach me. I also have my own YouTube channel that I can be reached at.
What's that called?
It's for weight loss, but it's for weight loss. But yeah, that's one way that I can be reached. But mainly, yeah, it would just be.
What's it called?
The YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
It's just Natalie weight loss. Weight loss is journey. So my weight loss journey.
All right.
It's my name, Natalie. Yeah.
Do you have anything else that you're working on that you want people to know about?
Nope. Not at the moment. I don't. I have been keeping a book. I don't plan to publish it or anything. That I call Channeled Messages. All right, that's not the title that's going to be, but it's just when I get things that come in through, I record them and then I keep them in a journal. Maybe that'll be a book one day. I don't know, but that's not the plans. It's just that's the only thing I'm working on at this time.
Well, before we finish up, can you leave us with one last positive message?
Any guidance, any question, any answer to any question that you might have will always be within you. Any truth will always be within you. If you want to know something, don't go seek it elsewhere outside of yourself. The divine is within you always. Go within. It will always guide you to your truth, not somebody else's, but yours. For any question you might have, don't go seeking it elsewhere. Seek within yourself, because that's where you'll find it. That is my message.
Natalie, thank you for your message, and thank you for being my guest.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.